Welcome back to Groomer Tales, a podcast by Groomer's Choice. I'm your host, Natasha. In this episode, I sit down with Chelsea Anderson. Chelsea shares how pet grooming gave her purpose, the realities of salon ownership, and why caring for anxious and senior dogs means so much to her. From battling addiction and surviving a near-fatal overdose to building a thriving grooming salon, Chelsea Anderson's journey is one of resilience, passion, and second chances. Please enjoy this episode with Chelsea Anderson. Trigger warning, this episode contains discussion of addiction, overdose, and mental health struggles. On Groomer Tales, I like it to be about origin stories for the grooming industry. Like, how did you get into the pet industry? Because I think it's an industry a lot of people are like, how do you end up there? So let's go all the way back. Where are you from originally? Did you always know you wanted to work with animals? Were there any jobs before this? Let's just go in the way back machine.
So I am from Woodbridge, Virginia, and that's where I still reside. I grew up on 14 acres, which is something you don't see in Woodbridge, Virginia, because it's like a city now, at least. But yeah, I have grown up here all 27 years of my life. I opened a salon in this area, but I originally had gotten into grooming because I've always had a love for animals, and I always have loved to do like the creative side. I like makeup, hair when I was in high school. Like, I roll out of bed now, but when I was younger, I'd wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and start doing my hair, makeup, and everything. And then I just kind of put those together and didn't even find out that there were pet groomers actually, having that as like a job until I was probably about 17, 18 years old when I worked at an animal hospital that had it. And I was at the point where I was maxed out because I was a receptionist. At that time, it was like $12 an hour. And I went on to be an assistant, but I was like, I don't know. I never did really too well in school. I was like an average C student. So I kind of just got like overwhelmed with how much school and how you'd be in debt to become a vet and all this stuff. So I was like, you know what, maybe pet grooming would be fun to get into. And I was honestly discouraged by my old boss, and they said that they would never hire me as a pet groomer because I was too indecisive. Mind you, I was only 17 years old. Right. So, it hit me to where I was like, you know what, I can do this and I will do this. So I left there and I started training with one of the best mentors I could have asked for in this area. And I worked for her for about 2 years, 2.5, and started opening up my own salon.
You mentioned creative grooming. Did you ever compete or do any sort of competitions with the creative?
Not creative. I've done freestyle, poodles, sporting, but I have not gotten into creative yet. I can't say that I've done full body dye jobs. Like, I've done a doodle. I've made them into Sully from Monsters, Inc. We've done foxes, Tigger, things like that, but nothing like on the Gabrielle, California side aspect. But, I definitely like to do things that are, pop. I like to add pops, color. A lot of the clients in my area come to me because we are probably one of the minimal salons that offer it. But yeah, we like to do anything that's fun, creative, sparkly.
Part of the reason I wanted you on the show is working at Groomer's Choice. When we would do our very important groomer, we featured you 1 month because you had submitted your story and a lot of people resonated with it and thought it was inspirational. And part of that story has to do with overcoming addiction. And so I feel like it's okay to ask about it since you shared it previously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to explain a little bit how you overcame that, or because you said you're only 27. It seems like you've lived a lot of life in 27 years. So
yeah, it's I grew up faster than, that's all you want to do when you're young is grow up. And I am a sucker for trying new things, like whether it's food. Obviously, I had a bender in drugs for, about a year or so, but the dogs kept me sane, and honestly, like it's not talked about a lot. I mean, it is like being a dog groomer is very hard on your body, but I was not diagnosed yet with ADHD, so I was trying to self-medicate in the times where I was in pain because I was grooming 6 days a week. My body was hurting, my mind was hurting, so I was struggling all around, and I was in a not a physically abusive but emotionally abusive relationship at that time. So it was just like a bunch of things adding on top of it. But the one thing that I enjoyed most of all and that kept me going was pet grooming, feeling like I had a purpose. In 2020, I overdosed trying meth for the first time ever because, I was trying new experiences, and I ended up overdosing, and it was in the middle of COVID, so nobody could come in and see me. My boyfriend at the time had to leave me at the hospital because at about 6 a.m. or, they told him that he couldn't come in because of COVID. And then 6 o'clock in the morning came around and I wasn't really responding to him well. He called me to see if I was doing okay. And he knew then that he needed to call my parents and everything. So it was a pretty intense moment. I was on life support for about seven days. Pulled out of it though, even though they didn't really think I was going to. Luckily, I had family doctors that helped pretty much take over on my case. Otherwise, they were just going to let nature take its course.
Oh, wow.
Is how I felt about the situation. Like my parents were getting ready to take their vehicles and drive through the hospital front door because they couldn't come in and see me. And they had no idea that I was going through addiction because I was hiding it so well. I was literally just a functioning addict. And after I got my wake up call, I pretty much just was like, I'm here for a reason, and it's to help these dogs feel their best, especially the aggressive or the anxious senior ones. I'm a sucker for them. Nobody else in the salon can touch most of my clients, like my clients' dogs, because they need that patient and kind person. And grooming can be, a lot sometimes to where the dogs, you feel like you're kind of taking it out on the dogs, but you have to remember, you have to step back, breathe, because they feel everything that you're feeling.
Mhm.
Like if you're having a bad day, they're going to have a bad day with you. So you have to remind yourself to stay calm and just know that you can't prevent everything and that all you can do is your best.
In 2020, when you had the overdose and everything, did you already own your business or did you decide to start your business after that?
So I had started grooming from home occasionally, like for family friends' dogs, because where I worked was like 30, 45 minutes from my home. So everybody back home was like, I want you to groom my dog. And I'm like, okay, well, if I have time, and I started getting busier and busier. And I started kind of just doing it one on one at behind my house about 3 months, 4 or 5 months into my addiction. And then when I hit rock bottom, I was about to stop working at my previous job. But it gave me a little bit more of a kick in the ass because I didn't care, because obviously I was out of my mind. But like I'm thankful that I went through all of that because I wouldn't be where I am today easily without it. I'm glad that I was able to learn and overcome it because unfortunately not everybody gets to make it out
Mhm.
alive. But it definitely taught me where I should be is where I'm supposed to be, and that everything happens for a reason.
I think you shared in your story when I went back and refreshed my memory, you kind of started in a shed behind your house and now you have a bigger establishment and it's called Pooch Perfect Pet Spa, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
We have 4 groomers and 2 bathers, well, 3 now, and we pretty much do anywhere between 20 to 27 dogs a day.
So, in starting your business, what do you think the biggest hurdles were?
I was blessed because I had a shed that my grandfather's old garage in the backyard of our house, and I was able to kind of just create it into what I wanted it to be. I mean, it wasn't the best thing, but I was able to have 2 to 3 little, employees working there. I mean, it was difficult to start out, but by me being able to do that, I was able to save money, and one of my clients was actually a real estate agent, and she owned a property where I'm at now. And she agreed, to have it at a good price compared to a lot of other places. Like around here, you easily get charged 3 grand for rent.
Yeah.
And I was only getting charged like 1,500 because I would groom her dog. So it was the hardest part, I would say, is just kind of saving up the money. But if you have the ability to get a loan or something, that'd be wonderful. But I didn't have to, luckily, I didn't have to go that route. I pretty much just had to renovate. You have to know somebody most of the time, but I had to renovate because it was a church at one point. So it had green carpet, one big open room. So we were able to redo the floors, put up walls, and make it what we wanted. And we've been there since. Now I need to upgrade again because I'm running out of space. And I have always like 30 to 50 people on our wait list, like waiting to get in. And, it's a curse and a blessing,
Right.
but so expensive and hard to manage the taxes and the employees most of the time. Most of the time, if it's not one thing, it's another. Between the shop having problems like the water heater, we just had to get the water heater fixed. We've went through probably about 3 or 4 different washers and dryers because of all the towels and the dog hair. It's especially with someone having ADHD, I'm always like jumping off the walls anyway, so it keeps me busy, that's for sure. Keeps my mind occupied.
Yeah. I've heard that with some of the other owners we've talked to about, sure, like the taxes and stuff are hard, but it's really like the people management is one of the hardest parts.
Yeah, it's trying to stay calm and mutual and equal upon everybody. Everybody works at a different pace and brings in more money than others, and it's different per employee. I mean, people like to try and treat all employees the same, but it really in my salon, like we just all get along, and it's like family in there. And that's how we try and keep it positive, is because we're all comfortable with each other. I mean, there are definitely some boundaries I probably should have, but at the same time, like, if we're all going to be there together, we might as well enjoy being around each other,
Right,
like,
right.
for the dog's sake, for our sake.
Yeah, it is nice when you all like each other. That does help. So,
Yes, yes. All of my employees have been there for at least a minimum of 2 years. I just hired another bather after our receptionist went on to bigger and better things, which, everybody maxes out at reception eventually. So we hired another bather to kind of just help go back and forth, and she's been great. But yeah, we have employees anywhere from 2 years to 4 years since I basically started. So it's
yeah.
been great.
And how many employees do you have total now?
6, 7,
Okay.
including myself, because I work full time.
And obviously, your story includes some difficult moments. What do you think has helped you stay resilient through the struggles of starting the business and your health struggles?
Positivity and just having a good support system has been helpful. My family has always been there for me my whole life, so it's always been helpful to have them come back in the grooming community, like just being out there and asking questions on groups. It's really helpful and comforting knowing that other people are going through the same thing, and getting advice where you can. Just absorb all the knowledge you can, stay positive, and do what you love.
Grooming is very hard on your body, but a lot of groomers also, and I mean, you own a business, talk about the mental burnout.
Mhm.
Do you have any advice on how to handle that? Because it sounds like before you may have been handling it in the not so healthy way. Did you
Yeah,
learn some healthier ways to manage that?
you can't control everything. Some things are just going to happen and you have to learn from it. You can't prevent it all. The best thing I try to do is just to try to stay positive, look at the positive things. I just keep swimming.
Right.
There's no other choice. Like, you have to make this life worth living.
That Dory, so smart. So you said you're growing and you might even need to expand at a certain point and you have dogs on the wait list. So how do you balance growth while still maintaining quality and taking care of the dogs you do have?
It's definitely a learning experience because you feel like a chicken with your head cut off most of the time because I went into this thinking I knew what I was doing, but realizing like you could have probably used a couple more years of guidance, like before just jumping out there, but I blame the drugs for that one. Yeah, definitely I was like without drugs I would have been out of my comfort zone, but with the drugs gave me the courage, which is awful, but at the same time, like I said earlier, like I'm thankful that I went through all of that to teach me the things where I needed it the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely has its moments, but you just have to be thankful for where you've come. Every day is a step. Every day, everything you do is a step in the right direction, to where you need to be.
What is the most rewarding part of your job?
When the dogs come in and they're happy to be there, some of them are really anxious, but mainly it's because of how the parents feel about it. Like they're holding them, coddling them, But definitely the best part that's most rewarding is when they come in on a schedule and they're just so used to you. They're like, this is daycare. This is fun. I like this. This is my groomer. And they come over and sit next to you. Because we do a lot of, we have kennels, but we also have a lot of free range. The dogs like to play with each other. We have been taking care of a lot of our clients for, 5 years. So most of them are pretty comfortable with me keeping them on the floor, and they all trust me to make those good calls. And luckily, knock on wood, we haven't had any issues.
I wouldn't expect it. I mean, why not a bark in the middle? That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. It's because I knocked. Yeah, it's because I knocked.
I'm assuming that was your dog. What kind of dogs do you have?
I have 4 dogs and 2 cats and a baby on the way, so that's fun. I have a Belgian Tervuren, which I got from a client that had breast cancer and couldn't take care of him anymore, and he was just so beautiful. And I was like, we could use another dog. I have a Rottweiler Shepherd. She's probably about 8 or 9 now. I have a standard poodle that's almost 3, and a Bichon that I happened to end up with after borrowing her for a grooming competition. I fell in love with her and was like, I can't give her back. And the owner was also my poodle's breeder that was watching her, and the mom never came back for her, I guess. So she was like, yeah, you can keep her if she likes you. Yeah, sure. I was like, okay.
Her mom never came back for her. That's
Yeah,
sad.
it's so sad. They had a house fire and asked if she could take care of her 2 Bichons, and just basically never came back for them.
Wow.
This is 2 years ago. So, yep.
Well, I mean, a house fire. I hope they're doing well, but that's
Yeah.
sad.
No,
Yeah.
apparently they're doing fine. They just never came back for them. They're like,
Hmm.
well, we drop our dogs off. This is the place to drop them off, I guess.
I guess. And you mentioned competing. Do you hope to do more of that, or
Yeah.
like would you hope to be like Groom Team USA someday, or what's the
that
goal?
would be nice, but of course, like I'm the type of person that'll take it one day at a time, and I'm my worst critic. Like for the longest time, I'm like, I'm not even that good. I'm not going into this to win. I'm going into this to learn. And this last competition I went to in Charm City, Maryland, I won first place the first time I competed with a sporting dog, and I've only worked on this dog like 4 times. So I was just in awe, like I couldn't believe it. So that's what it keeps pushing me to do better, and that you're better than you think you are. I'm my worst critic.
Yes, for sure. I mean, doesn't that apply to so many parts of our lives?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
What's one grooming misconception you wish pet parents understood better?
We don't shave for fun. Brush your dog. And we will make it as cute as possible. Like we don't just shave dogs because we don't know what we're doing.
Right. And shaving actually probably takes more or just as much time as another kind of haircut or whatever.
I mean, I prefer shave down, they're easy and all, but I like to make them cute and to have the longer legs and the cute faces. And I like to wow the clients. I like their reactions. I love the good reviews. It's praising. I mean, in my past life, I was probably a dog.
So speaking of the brush your dog kind of thing, do you have any tips on how to like educate the clients without making them feel judged or?
Yeah. I've actually made a video and posted it on my Instagram and Facebook that's probably due again, because some of these clients, they've accepted it. They've accepted that their dog's just going to come in on a schedule and they don't have to brush them, which is fine as long as they're on a schedule. We can handle it. But it's the ones that are coming in twice a year, and why can't you keep them longer? And I'm like, do you not brush your own hair? Like, I don't understand. But yeah, no, posting a video on Instagram or Facebook helped, actually showing them what brushes to use for what, coat types, if they have a pit bull or they have a poodle or Bichon, double coated dog, just to educate them. And I carry a lot of this stuff in the salon too. So, most of the time when they're checking out and like, this part was really bad. If you need a brush or recommendation, we have some here. I even made like a QR code you can scan on a business card that brings up like an Amazon wish list, and it has all of the things that we recommend. And then they can always ask us questions on what they should get, what's recommended. So we try to educate, as much as we can, but some people just aren't teachable.
And like you said, as long as they stay on a schedule,
Not too bad. We
yeah,
can
like
take theirs
if
out.
you're not going to do the upkeep, we will, but you still got to bring them in,
Right. Or we're going to charge you, don't get mad at us because we charge you a $5-10 DMAC because it took us that extra time to brush it out since you didn't want to.
I feel like it is so similar to actual parenting because, some parents are like, not my kid. My kid would
Yeah.
never. And then some people act the same way about their dogs.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would be the one to turn away and be like, did you do that? None of my children, my dogs, are innocent. None of them. None
Yeah.
of them.
How long have you been grooming then?
Since 2017.
Okay. So in that time, what do you think has been the biggest change in the pet industry?
More doodles. Honestly, though, I mean, the products, everything seems to be getting, I mean, I don't know what it was like back in the day. I mean, but from what I've seen, like the products are better. Like everyone's wanting to educate themselves more. There's more opportunities. The expos and stuff are great. But yeah, it's hard to keep up. It's hard to keep up with everything. You're always learning something new. You never stop learning.
You said you learned with a mentor. So did you do apprenticeship type thing, or did you go to a grooming school, or was it all just the mentorship?
Yeah, it was. So I basically applied to, they're all for pet grooming. They have 3 locations. And the mother, Deanna, she is who was my mentor. She pretty much would get people to sign a 2-year contract just stating, they'll work for a certain amount while she trains us. And then she started me off as a receptionist because I already knew how to reception at the animal hospital. And then within 2-3 months, she had me bathing and starting to learn how to groom. I guess she just had a good feeling about me, and she took a chance with me because usually you would have had to bathe for at least 6 months, I think, to a year before starting. But she saw how quick I was with the learning and how intrigued I was by it. And she just kept going with me. And within 2 years, I mean, I felt obviously good enough to own my own business. So
yeah, I've heard that from a couple other groomers that started and they were like, now looking back, I probably should have waited, but then again, you wouldn't be where you are now if you didn't just do it. So
right, just do it. Just gotta go for it. A lot of people hesitate because of fear, and honestly, if you just do it and you just keep putting one foot in front of the other, most of the time it'll be for a good reason. You'll thank yourself later.
what advice would you give to a groomer that's just starting out?
don't say you can't. My mentor always said, change I can't to I can, and everything will change. And honestly, if I hear some of the girls saying, I can't do that, or blah, I'm like, you can't? Yes, you can. It starts with your mind, yeah. Yeah, change that I can't from I can, and I guarantee you will go places you didn't think you were going to go.
What's a mistake you made early on in your career that you would hope other people would avoid?
Hmm. I'm pretty blessed with where I learned. I would say, don't me again with the whole ADHD thing. I'm like, I go quick. I mean, I'm trying to like slow down, but quality is more than quantity. So I'm kind of from somewhere where both of them mattered, but it doesn't always have to be chaos. You can move at your own pace. You don't have to be as good as the next guy. You just want to do better than yourself yesterday. Just be in competition with yourself.
If someone wants to grow their grooming business today, what's one thing they should focus on?
Saving money for taxes. I mean, literally, like I'll do payroll every week, and the payroll tax is more than anybody gets paid all week.
Wow. Yeah.
And then that's including all the other taxes. So the taxes, man.
Yeah. That's the biggest to me. I don't own a business, but when I think a lot of us have, oh, this would be a good idea, or I'd love to do this, but the money part of it and the numbers part of it is the scariest part to me of starting anything, I think.
Yes. I was not good in school, so I'm like, you can most of the time, you're either good with numbers or you're good with your hands. So, yeah, I'm more of the hands on type of person rather than the calculations, the school, yeah, yeah. I definitely can say that like I wung it at the beginning as far as my pricing. Don't start your pricing too low, because I started my small dogs at $55 when I started in 2020, and now they're at 90, and it's taken me a while to get up to there, but I'm finally happy now that I'm seeing some profit, because for the first 5 years you really don't see much profit. And
No.
everyone goes into it thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to make all this money. No, you're going to gain some gray hairs and lose money.
Do you have any help with the money part of it? Do you have an accountant or anything like that, or you just really tried to learn it all yourself?
So I did get an accountant, and after about 2 years of me using him, paying him, he basically ghosted me. And
Oh no.
in the middle of when he was supposed a year late of completing my 2023 taxes, and I kept reaching out to him like, hey, like I can get someone else if you don't have time for this, because 6 months went by and he's like, oh yeah, I got an extension, it'll be done here, and it would never complete. So he ended up charging me for that year and never returned my money, and that was $1,200, $1,400 for him to do my taxes that he never completed, that I had to hire someone else to do.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah, yeah, I literally, if I didn't spend all my time and energy into this like grooming physically and mentally, being so caught up with all the things that are going on in my life, I would have sued his ass.
Oh, I feel like that's part of owning a business too, is and I mean, you hear it. I'm a pop culture girly at heart, so you hear it more with like celebrities or musicians where they hire an accountant that's like stealing from them or stuff like
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
but it seems like it is just like why people got to be like that? Like why?
I found them from QuickBooks. Like I hired them from clicking get an accountant from QuickBooks, and that you would have thought that they would have backed up. I sent them proof. I reported them to the IRS and everything. And do I know if anything ever happened with them? No.
That
So
is
I just,
wild.
there's some things that are worth your time and energy, and there's some things that aren't.
I hope things have gone better since then. I hope your
Yeah.
new accountant is actually doing the
Yes,
work.
he's helpful. He's on time. Like yeah, he's very helpful compared to the last one.
You mentioned before always learning, always growing, and in this industry, continued education is a big deal. There's always new trends, new technology, new products, new breeds, new all kinds of things. So, how do you keep up with it all? And do you help your groomers keep up with it all?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely. do my best. So, I mean, a lot of it's online on social media. I'm a big Facebook person more than Instagram or any of the other handles, but I'm a part of a lot of grooming groups. I'm always scrolling, learning new things. Like you learn something new every single day, and I'm not even joking about it. Like it's every day that I'll scroll and find out something new, or I think that and going out to expos and not being afraid to talk and ask questions and talk to the bigger one, the judges, the other mentors out there. Don't be afraid. We're all happy to share our knowledge. I know a lot of people that are scared to compete because it's intimidating, but really we're all just up there focusing. So that's why we've got our RBFs out, like we're just focused and we're trying to do our best. So you have to ask questions. You need to borrow something you see we have. Don't hesitate to ask. Like I'm always looking for someone to talk to and be helpful. I love helping, especially because I know what it's like to feel like you don't know what you're doing and finding it out for yourself. So for a long time I was pretty shy about asking people for help, but really it's something that we all share in common and enjoy. So most of the time people are happy to help.
Yeah, that's one thing I've heard a bunch doing this podcast and talking to groomers of various levels is this idea of community over competition because
Yes.
there's enough dogs for everybody. Maybe you like doing doodles, maybe I don't. I'll send you one. Maybe I'm full. I can refer somebody, but you'll return the favor someday.
Yeah.
It's worth getting to know everybody and like you said,
Yes.
asking questions, making connections.
Yes. I'm big with referring a lot of the local groomers to our clients because we haven't been taking new clients for a while, especially large dogs, and I just send them every other way. I'm like, take them, go here, go there, and yeah, just being involved in your community. You think that there's not a lot of groomers, but there is. You just have to look for them.
This episode of Groomer Tales is brought to you by Healthy Skin and Coat. Every grooming salon sees it. Pets struggling with itchiness, flakes, redness, hot spots, and irritated skin. Healthy Skin and Coat's skin-first grooming approach gives groomers a complete professional solution to cleanse, restore moisture, and maintain healthier skin and softer coats. Healthy Skin and Coat's powerful ingredients like chlorhexidine to help cleanse and support troubled skin, plus hydrocortisone to help soothe irritation and itching, designed to bring comfort pets can feel and results pet parents can see. Shop now at groomerschoice.com. Now, back to Groomer Tales. And that leads into my next question about collaboration in this industry. I mean, even at Groomer's Choice, we work with other vendors and brands and groomers sometimes. A lot of groomers pair up they collab all the time to teach. And so can you speak to the importance of collaboration and an example of a time you worked with somebody else or came together to do something?
Yeah. So I had competed. I mean, they're good groomer friends of mine. They're both, talented. But I had met these people just basically online, and they needed a tag team member in, I think it was Charm City. Yeah. And I basically just jumped in, didn't know these people, and was like, let's do it. And I still talk to them to this day. And that was, like 3-4 years ago. And we had a blast. And, same thing with like other local grooming. There's some places that'll do like grooming competitions, like Mentored, which one of my mentors actually hosts one of them in the area. And that's a great way to meet the groomers in your area. I mean, it's definitely important to stick together. And, most states we have a Virginia groomers group. So everybody in Virginia that's a groomer's on it pretty much, to where you can blacklist clients. It's helpful for blacklisting clients, those clients that leave you bad reviews and don't talk to you first, ones that blame us for their mad dog or, their behavior. It's just really nice to have a community to be able to talk to. And I advise any state to have a groomer group, for that state.
Yeah, I'm sure state to state, like we were saying, like there's probably different tax laws or employment laws or, those kind of business owner questions too. I'm sure it comes in handy.
Yeah, that's definitely where I've learned a lot of my stuff is just reaching out on platforms, just saying, hey, anybody dealt with this before, recommendations. And like I said, everybody's so helpful. So helpful.
If you weren't a dog groomer and you weren't doing what you're doing now, what do you think you'd be doing?
Before dog grooming, I liked to cook. I was working in restaurants a lot. About 16, 17, I was managing a food truck on
Oh,
weekends. So like I even at one point had 3 jobs at once when I was in high school. Don't know how I did it, but I did it. I worked at like, PF Chang's years ago. And I like to work on the food trucks and stuff like that. And then I was like, you know what? I don't like people too much. So it's kind of hard to say what I would do, but I honestly wouldn't be doing anything else. And I'm thankful that life has led me this way.
before you said you didn't like people that much, I was like, well, it kind of makes sense. It's all service industry kind of thing. And then you're like,
Yeah.
but that's part of the reason I left.
Yeah. Yeah. The people, I'm good with trying to be the peacemaker and I'm a big people pleaser that I'm still trying to work on.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just people are just too entitled, even with the owners of some of these dogs. I'm like, I'm sorry, this isn't perfect. We're all human. We're not AI bots, we're not
Right, right.
machines. I don't understand. Do it yourself if it's that
Yeah.
bad, but
I've heard some groomers say too when a pet parent says, "Well, I could do this myself," and they're like, "Please go ahead and try," and then they're back like a month later because they're like,
yeah.
"I tried and it was terrible."
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep, you learn quick.
So, what is your favorite animal or breed to groom and your least favorite?
Hmm, that's a good question. It's hard because most of the time I love all the dogs. I love to groom Bichons and poodles. Poodles are probably one of my favorites. Least, hmm. I mean, I can't say doodles because that's 70% of our client list. But some of them, man, it's just they're neurotic. Like they're a neurotic mess.
Yeah.
Some of them are just. It's not their fault, but yeah, yeah. There's a lot more doodles that I tend to have an eye twitch for than any other breed. Like most purebreds are cool. Even some of the sheepoos or cavapoos and whatever, anything mixed with a poodle is a doodle. So but yeah, there's just some like golden doodles that are just like ridiculous, like behavior, and the owners don't help because they think they're just getting a cute dog, and then it's not just cute anymore, it's feral.
Yeah, that's a thing. I always like asking that question because it does end up being sort of controversial almost. Or I think it's like with people too. Like for me, the name Brittany, I met one Brittany I didn't really like. So then every Brittany I'm kind of like
Yeah,
skeptical of. That's just
yeah,
kind of how
yeah.
it is with dogs too.
Right, exactly. I mean, it really depends on the behavior and the temperament. I mean, when I first started grooming, I hated grooming Yorkies. I hated it. Now I'm like, this is easy. And
Yeah.
I've groomed a lot of breeds, but there's also a lot of breeds I haven't groomed. So because a lot of the people are just obsessed with like all the mixed breeds and paying
Hmm.
$500 a dog.
Yeah.
But I will say I have a 2 grand poodle and she is nuts. So you do if you do, damn if you don't.
What is your dream breed to groom? What would you love to get your hands on?
I would love more sporting dogs. Like even the one that I groomed at and got first place with, she's a Springer Spaniel. Anything that actually gets the breed standard, because most of the time they're like, shave them down. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, that's what a lot of competitors say, in their day job as a pet groomer, you don't do a lot of standard trims. So then it really is. I mean, I think that's why a lot of competitors end up having their own poodle or whatever because
Yes.
they have to have something to practice on because they don't see it
How I
as
ended up
much.
with 4 dogs.
Yeah, exactly.
I got Logan, and I had never competed before, and Logan's the Belgian, and he's the double coated dog. And I didn't know at the time that you couldn't compete with Belgians.
Oh,
I've never competed before, but I mean now they're coming out with double coated competitions a lot more all over. So I think that's pretty cool. But at the time when I got him, that was my way of convincing my boyfriend. Oh well, he's AKC, and I can probably do grooming competitions with him. No. So then we got the poodle, and
Well,
it took me a year to talk him into the poodle. And then literally, like, I just borrowed Flossie the Bichon for a grooming competition, and she'd be like so like scared of everything. If you tried to kind of move her with your foot, like to get her to go outside, she'd just be like, "Oh my God, don't abuse me!"
Oh no.
And
Doesn't that
got
make
off
you
the
wonder what her life was like
right,
before? Like
yeah.
what was going
And
on?
my man took his hat off, and she ran, and he was like, "We can't give her back." I was like, "I'm not going to argue." Now here we are,
Right.
4 dogs in the bed, and I hate this.
Oh wow. And so that Bashan that you ended up just keeping, those are usually kind of pricey, right? And you just got to keep it?
I got her for free. I mean, I don't have her papers, but she has papers. She's
Yeah.
AKC. I mean, I had her fixed. She apparently, I think, was bred like once or twice before I had her. And she's about four now. I got her in May.
Oh wow. Well, I guess it
But
all
yeah, no,
worked
she's a
out.
sweet girl. She's stubborn. Yeah, it does. Everything happens for a reason.
Do you do much grooming for cats?
We do. I have a manager that insisted on learning how to groom cats first before dogs. And anybody that's a pet groomer is, oh my God, no, that's horrible. And she was quick to learn that it's not all butterflies and money, like they're definitely difficult. And I finally got us a JIR pet dryer where we can put the cats in there, because most of the cats, what angers us the most is if they pee while they're getting dried, or if they're almost finished getting dried, because that smell just does not go away. So we're hoping that the pet dryer will be a little bit more calmer for them, because it's a little quieter and not as
Yeah.
chaotic. But yeah, we do have a handful of cats that come in. We try not to overbook ourselves with those cats, because half of them are vicious, and most of the time it takes two people to groom the cat. So, of course
Yeah.
they're a little bit more pricier and dangerous.
Yeah. 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 You got to be careful with these cats. In the pet grooming industry, I feel like weird is a relative term. But
Yeah.
do you recall a time when a client came in and wanted something done to their pet that just didn't make sense to you or you thought was weird?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of clients that are like, "Can you just take their legs shorter and leave their body?" I'm like, "So you want a sheep?" And they're like, "Oh." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not putting my name on that. I'm sorry. This is an art to us, and we're not going to sit here and let a dog go out looking like that." But I mean, honestly, nowadays, like, I live for weird,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Keeps things
Or or
exciting.
or you just say, "Yeah, I'll do it, but don't tell anybody we did it."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them like to do the high waters because their feet will get wet or whatever, and I'm like, "Okay, whatever floats your boat."
Yeah. I feel like that happens quite a bit. Like we're Groomer's Choices in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, so with winters and stuff, I mean it
Yeah.
kind of makes sense with the snow, but
Yeah.
does look silly, but
Yeah, it does. It does. It looks pretty silly, but, to each their own, and I'm doing a service for them. So, I mean, what I won't do is shave an English bulldog. We just had someone last week ask us to shave their English bulldog because his butthole stunk. And I was like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. No, English bulldogs are just known to be yeasty and have terrible skin.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, this is the breed you chose.
Right. And I think that goes back to I've heard a lot of groomers talk about not only, groomers have continued education and do research, but that's the thing pet parents should do a little more of too before they decide on a dog is learn
Yes.
more about it. Because especially if you're kind of a lazy person, don't get one of the working dogs that's going to need a lot of movement and interaction. Yeah.
That's how I ended up with Logan, because the lady that she was used to golden retrievers, went to a dog show and fell in love with his breed, and that was all she wrote. And then 6 months into his life, she's like, "I can't do it. I have to give him back to his breeder." And I'm like, "I'll take him. Like, he is a beautiful dog, and I know more about the herding dogs than you do." And they had half an acre, and so he was getting into stuff. He was biting. I had to send him to 2 different trainers because he was a maniac, but it was because he didn't have any structure.
Hmm.
I'd had neighbors tell me that he would try and lunge after cars on the leash, and the old owner would just yank him back. And it just made him more aggressive over that kind of stuff. Like golf carts, I've ran him over with the golf cart once because he's trying to herd the golf cart. And I'm like, what the?
I
This
should
dog
laugh,
needs.
but like,
I know, like I was so scared, and he just got up, and he still does it, and he didn't learn from it one bit. And
yeah,
I'm like, no more golf cart.
maybe that counts as the story for this one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you recall a time when you maybe had a close call or a dangerous story, something kind of that was a little scary in the salon? Because I think we learn a lot from those sort of instances too.
To be honest, we've had one cat and one dog die in the salon
Oh no.
because we handle a lot of older dogs that nobody wants to mess with. And I understand why, because it's very traumatic for everybody. I mean, we've dealt with seizures before, but legit, like, we called the owner and we're like, you need to come get your cat because he's breathing really weird. And by the time they got there, we had to blow up their phone, mind you, because they weren't answering.
Mm-hmm.
And we were getting ready to take him to the hospital, to the vet, and they called back and was like, no, we're coming. And we were like, by that time, we are like, he stopped breathing. Like, we're taking him in. And I mean, we had that happen with a Pomeranian too about 2-3 months ago. And all my girls were crying. They were so traumatized. Like, he was just in the bath chilling. And, a lot of Poms have a lot of heart problems or, collapsed trachea, stuff like that. And so I don't even think we had him really on a lead. And if we did, it'd be a crossbody. And he was just laying there, or sitting there, and we were just putting water on him. He was calm as can be, and then just fell over. And one of my girls is like, oh my God. And so I went in there, we took him straight to the vet. And by the time we got to the vet, which is right around the corner, we tried CPR. And it was definitely just really heartbreaking. And to tell the owner, to witness it, like, we sent out like a cute little memorial with a picture of him that we had. And, we try to most of the owners are very understanding from the stories that I've heard from other people. But you're always scared that 1% is going to be like, this is your fault.
Yeah.
But that's the last thing we want to happen. It's
Right.
traumatic. It's so traumatic, but you have to listen to each dog. You can't listen to them as a whole and be like, oh, he's fine. But if the dog's old and he's heavy breathing, stuff like that, you need to stop all services. But these two animals didn't show us any signs right before it happened, other than when we saw it happening, we're like, hey, this is happening. And then within minutes, it's
Yeah.
something that you can't control. So don't take it to heart too bad, but just remember you're human, and every pet, unfortunately, has its time.
Like you said, if they were already old, or there could be an underlying thing that
Yeah.
maybe the owner didn't even know about. And
Yeah.
that's so sad. But
Yeah. It's very sad. I mean, we were heard about it for weeks. Like, the hardest part of the job is losing the animal that you develop such a, experience with, whether it's on their own terms or if it happens in the salon. Like, that's the worst part.
yeah, I'm sure, because you guys get close to them and then you see them. I've heard of some groomers, and I'm sure this is maybe happened to you too. You start seeing them as a puppy, like you see them their whole life, and then it's kind
Yes.
of sad. Yeah, yeah.
We're coming up on 5 years, well, 6 years of being open. And so, like, I know within the next couple of years, like, we're going to see a lot of those. And I'm like, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
We handwrite a card every time someone calls and tells us, that their pet passed away or to cancel their appointments. And we'll all sign it and send it to
Yeah.
them. And if we have pictures, I'll get them printed out. I just feel
Yeah.
so bad. Like, working at an animal hospital and dealing with a lot of clients having to put their animals down, you feel for them. You want to make them feel comforted in any way you can when they're in your care.
So let's lighten the mood a bit now then. This is my favorite question to ask everybody. What is your best poop story?
Oh God. Traumatized. So there was this dog, of course I can't think of his name right now, that had gotten out and was out for 2 to 3 weeks. It was an old dog. It was like snowing outside. And they were posting it all over, like on Nextdoor, like this app that's for neighborhoods and stuff like that. And it was like, we finally got him back. Does anybody know a place where we can get him groomed? Because he's he stinks and he's been out for 2 weeks, whatever. And so we were like, yeah, we'll do it. No cost. We're just glad he made it home. And as soon as we were drying him, explosive diarrhea over everything. And we're just like, why did we offer? Like, we should have known better. He just got home.
Did they at least tip well or anything?
I don't remember. I was just traumatized by cleaning poop out of like the tables, like scrubbing it, and it was like even on the dryer hose, like where it has the divots in it, and it was just miserable, you know.
Yeah, when it's the diarrhea like that, it can seep into all kinds of nooks and crannies, I'm sure.
And my own dog did it to me 2 weeks ago. I guess he had an upset stomach, and I brought him in because he had poop on his butt, so he needed to get cleaned. And yeah, he pooped all over the drying table, in the kennel, and then pooped on my table after the fourth time of us trying to just bathe him and get him out. Like, it was awful. I was like, oh my God, like this is this is the next worst thing. Diarrhea. I don't care if they drop a couple nuggets on the floor or in their kennel. We gotta wash their feet, whatever, but not the explosive diarrhea.
Yeah, the nuggets are a little easier to clean up, that's for sure. And it always seems like it's the diarrhea at the end, like you're almost done. That's when they do it.
Yes, I'm like, do it in the tub if you're gonna do it. Let me just
keep it contained.
Right. I can just rinse you off that way. I ain't gotta pick you up or get it on me.
This is the section of the podcast. It's rapid fire questions. I call it quick snips. It's kind of just for fun. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Your favorite animal from a TV show or movie?
Oh, I'd have to say probably Lady from Lady and the Tramp.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or Fox and the Hound. That's a good one too.
Oh yeah, we had a beagle named Copper because of that movie.
Oh,
so
I love it.
I'm a hunting dog. Okay. What is your go-to coffee order?
Honestly, I just like a regular hot coffee with creamer.
Okay. You're
From Wawa.
Oh, there you go. See, we don't have a Wawa here, but I can only imagine it's delicious. Okay.
Yeah.
Most used emoji.
The laughing. I'm always laughing, like always. Doesn't matter how dark the humor is or how bad the joke is, I'm laughing.
Sometimes if you don't laugh, you'll cry, you got to just go with it.
Yeah.
What was the last thing you binge watched?
Animal documentaries, like wild animal documentaries. That's been our thing the last couple weeks on Netflix. They're so vivid and so funny. So dramatic.
One product or tool you can't live without?
Well, it depends because, there's a bunch of different coat types, but I love the Jody Murphy coat tender.
Mm-hmm.
Very helpful for this stripping or sporting dogs. And I'd probably say my Utsumi curves, my most expensive shears.
And then for this last question, to just kind of wrap it up, it doesn't have to be work related. It can just be life related. But what do you still wish to accomplish?
I want to get around to getting a bigger salon that's more elegant and not so. I got pink stuff everywhere, and it's as cute as it can be, but it's like a grandfathered in building, so like it's an old building, and I would like a top of the line, like a nail salon, like how they're all fancy. I would love that kind of pet spa if we could afford it.
Yeah. Well, now you got a good accountant. Maybe it'll happen.
Yeah.
I started doing this thing where I have, Gazoom type. I started doing this thing where I have the last guest ask the next guest a question. And on the last episode, I had Sierra Elbert from Groom Curriculum. She was the last guest, and she wanted to ask you, despite all your hardships, what was one main comfort, whether it was a person, place, thing, that knew would help you keep going? What is your home base to get through everything?
Tomorrow's a new day. Today's almost over.
Like, this too shall pass. Like, nothing lasts.
Yeah. This too shall pass. Don't dwell on it.
And then actually, I don't know who our next guest is going to be. I haven't scheduled anybody yet. So our next guest is unknown. So I suppose that leaves the question. You can ask any question. It's very open-ended if you have something you want to ask. And it could even just be like, what's your favorite color? I mean, it will be someone in the grooming pet industry, so it could be something related to that.
Okay.
I just don't have anybody nailed down yet, quite.
Okay. That's okay. If you could be a dog, what breed would you be?
I'm surprised nobody has asked that yet. That is a good one. Here towards the end, I'll just let you go ahead and tell everybody, if you have a website, social media, where to follow you, if you have events coming up, or just anything you want to throw out there here at the end.
We do have a seminar coming up on a Sunday at the salon in Dumfries, and it's for Asian fusion and hand stripping. So there's also a hands-on part as well, but it's an all-day class. It'll be Dylan Gonzalez and Taylor. I can't remember her last name, of course.
Do you do stuff like that quite often?
Yeah, especially now because I'm not on my medications anymore because I'm pregnant. So I'm like all over the place. So for anybody that's probably going to watch this, I'm sorry if I was making no sense or was all over the place because I literally can't control it at this point.
You did mention you were pregnant earlier. When are you due, or congratulations, I suppose, are in order.
Yeah, June 2nd.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No, you look good. Okay. What's your website and all that stuff if they want to follow you?
Yeah, so it's a part of Mogo. So if you just search up Pooch Perfect Pet Spa, POOCHPURRFECT Pet Spa in Dumfries, Virginia, it should come right up. You can text or call that number anytime, and I'm happy to give you any information you need.
Yeah. And you said you're on Facebook more than Instagram?
Facebook, or on Instagram too for the business. I'm more on the business Instagram than my personal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're on Facebook and Instagram.
And you just spell it the same way you just spelled it? Just search that?
For Instagram, it's Pooch Perfect Spa because Pooch Perfect Pet Spa was taken, I think, by my first account that I just couldn't log into. I don't know. I think it was me that stole that name.
Don't you hate that when you're like, oh, I don't remember, and then the email you used was like your college email address that you don't have access to anymore, just stuff like that. But yeah. That's pretty much all I had prepared. Anything else you want to say? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Just keep doing what you love. There's no point in living life if you're going to be miserable.
That is very true.
Yeah, a lot of people live this world miserably, and you can tell. You can tell.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Groomer Tales, a podcast by Groomer's Choice. Please rate, review, subscribe, and comment wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts. If you have any questions or comments about something you heard in this episode, please feel free to email us at groomertalespod@gmail.com. Until next time.